What is intelligence-led enforcement? There are two types of enforcement, reactive and proactive. Reactive enforcement responds to crimes that have already taken place and that have to come to the attention, for example, by random patrolling or reports for the public. The damage to society is already done and often irreversible. Officers collect whatever evidence is left and try to bring offenders to account, and after that it's case closed. Literally sometimes. In the worst case, all the information goes into a box on a shelf and is never looked at again. Proactive law enforcement structurally captures and analyzes a broad spectrum of potentially relevant information from many different sources in order to identify, understand and effectively address the underlying crime problems and trends. Now, this becomes visible when agencies become ever more aware of the probability that a crime will occur in the future or whether it's taking place outside its direct vision. They can then even prevent it from taking place by focusing detection on the most high-risk entities and likely locations. Now, how does this help combat international environmental crime? Environmental crime is very often transnational, both in cause and effect. It's therefore nearly impossible to effectively enforce environmental laws without tight cooperation and information sharing with agencies abroad. Intelligence-led enforcement is therefore the most effective strategy to connect the dots that cannot be discovered on a national level, and to discover the worst offenders and their modus operandi. Most importantly, it helps to gain the insight where the highest risks are in terms of, for example, organized crime groups, routes or commodities. In other words, where is what crime most likely to happen? That insight is vital for agencies to focus their scarce resources towards those highest risks and be most effective in their response. Now, how is information shared internationally? Well, there are a limited number of legal channels for the global sharing of enforcement information. This includes embassies, the World Customs Organization and Interpol. The Interpol Global Secure Communication Network, I-24/7, connects law enforcers all over the world and provides them the opportunity to share sensitive information, also including the personal data of individual criminals. Furthermore, I-24/7 connects the countries with the Interpol General Secretariat, where the information from around the world can be stored. Now, what does Interpol do with that information? By storing the environmental enforcement information from member countries onto the Interpol database, it becomes available to member countries for cross-checking. Country A can then, for example, discover that a suspect in the country already has a considerable track record in other countries. The environmental crime program of Interpol analyzes the information and produces criminal intelligence reports that identify the worst offenders and the highest crime risks. Translated into operational recommendations, these reports improve effective enforcement in all countries, leading to national or even joint international operations.